The college football experience week 12 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL and college hoops with Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Jim Mora, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 12 reaction show. And wow, it's been quite the day. I'm sorry about the graphic as I was doing this. It's not the pregame show. This is the reaction show. Loaded up the wrong thing, but I'll correct that later. We got things to talk about like this gigantic 12-team playoff. Well, not really gigantic, but gigantic compared to what they've been doing for the past 100 years. I mean, it just got a lot spicier today, tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hop on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swig and Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Yes, we are here.
You definitely live by your wits, but do you think with your fists, Colby?
I do.
When was the last time
I punched somebody?
you punched something or somebody?
Last thing I probably punched was like some drywall. If I had to guess.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
You've witnessed me punching drywall, so we're in the same boat there.
Yours was a door, I thought.
I did a bunch of different.
Does that count for drywall?
Not sure. Cardboard door, something like that. Close enough.
Oh man, I am joined by my co-host, the cardboard punching. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheel to dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh. Well,
let's get it going, buddy. Let's get it
solid
going.
Day of American football. We all just witnessed here.
Great day of football. Shout out to the chat. I see Gary, Dave. Shout out to Cody Frazier, Must Vibe, Colt. All of them. They're in there. They're talking. Get on over there. Be a part of the fun.
Solid Americans.
All solid people.
Lining up to have their voices fucking heard. This is what it's all about, you know?
It is. And look, they want me to go chronologically. You got to make it up, chat. You know, I mean, I get these messages throughout the week. They liked the conference thing at first, and they got tired of it. And now, you know, they want me to go chronologically again. It's what we used to do for years. Can't win. You can't.
You do what you want to do.
Let me tell you, buddy, I had an absolute fire day of football. I had a winning day in basketball too, but football.
Nice.
Holy shit. Your boy Dundee was on one today.
Let me tell you what, I thought all the takes that I had in our preview show on Monday were correct, and yet I didn't pick super well. I mean, I think it was 2 games under 500 today, but everything that I thought was going to happen happened. How is that possible?
Yeah, you should have made more money then. Let's just start things off with the bang. I did take UMass against Liberty. Game 1, UMass Liberty. Oh my! In regulation, UMass misses a chip shot field goal that would have won them the game. It goes to overtime, and of course, they lose 35-34 to the Flamin' Libs.
It's so counterfeit. Hey, you know what the crazy thing is? Liberty is still alive for the college football playoff. As a 2-loss team right now, it's not even that big of a stretch to think that Liberty could be the only 2-loss group of 5 team at the end of the season.
I mean, they need a lot of things to break for them.
Not really.
What? I'm just off the top of my head right now. You got Tulane, Boise, Army, UNLV.
Dude. Let me list these off because I did this for JMU earlier. Whoever is the opponent in the Mountain West Championship game against Boise, whether it's UNLV,
it's gonna be Colorado State, dude.
It's probably Colorado State, but I think them and UNLV both have 1 loss, so I don't know how that works out. I don't know.
Colorado State if they controls their own destiny.
Okay, so assume Colorado State's able to beat Boise, right? There's one. There's an upset, not a huge one, but a bit of an upset, right? And then Memphis beats Tulane. Granted, that's in New Orleans, right? And then Tulane beats Army, which you would. They're already scheduled to. They're both of them have qualified for the.
That would be in the championship game.
Yeah, and so if that would be up in Mikey Stadium in.
No, that would actually be at Foxborough.
Really?
They can't play because they're just they didn't know they'd be in a conference, and they have a bunch of construction going on to their stadium exactly that week.
Either way, I think Tulane should be favored against Army right now. Tulane's a better football team than Army. You know, in the cold
Tulane
weather,
should only have. Look, I see a lot of people posting the South Carolina if they didn't call that stupid penalty on the LSU game, which I completely agree with all the people complaining like that. Because South Carolina got robbed and then they would be in the playoffs right now. But the same can be said for fucking Tulane on that bullshit pick play against Kansas State where the corner jammed first.
Tough to get that call.
That was ridiculous, man. No, but I mean, go watch that highlight. That one should be shared as well.
All I'm saying is listen to this, Colb. That would take care of the Mountain West and the AAC, and then
but the Conference USA is so bad.
The MAC and the Conference USA. Well, yeah, the MAC, and then the Sun Belt. If Georgia Southern just doesn't choke, and then I mean, basically, it's not that big of a thing for Liberty to be the only 2-loss Group of 5 team. But you're right. It probably, even with 2 losses, that probably doesn't put them in the playoff.
The problem is, it's the Conference USA is so bad. They wouldn't like, when you have 4 of the bottom 10 teams in the country, you know what I mean? So it's by far the worst conference this year. The MAC is substantially better to me. So, I don't think I think Liberty I think it's impossible for them right now.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I'm sure some wild shit could happen, but
especially when they beat UMass by 1 in overtime. The fact it went to overtime, they would not put that.
No, Liberty is complete ass. But I will tell you this,
and they have a loss to Kennesaw.
Yeah,
they're eliminated. They're eliminated.
Let me ask you this though: is JMU eliminated because they have a loss to ULM, who is not good anymore?
No, but ULM is like they have 5 wins or something. They're going to probably they might get to a bowl.
Yeah, they're not Kennesaw bad, but it's a terrible loss. But it's the same situation applies where, it's not that big of a stretch to think that there could be a bunch of 3-loss conference champions from the Group of 5, and JMU would be the only 2-loss conference champion coming out of the Group of 5. Does that put them in? The North Carolina
JMU
win
also has a 70-point performance at a Power 5.
Yeah, that does help quite a bit. So we'll see what happens. But I think I'll say this, the fact that JMU, after those 2 losses, is still in the conversation, and quite frankly, I think can beat most of the teams that are in the playoff when they're playing their best. I think this year's much more compelling than for me as a JMU fan, certainly, but I think for most fans of teams that aren't like blue bloods, this is a much more compelling format than we've ever had before.
By a million. Like, you look at this right now, and there's so many teams that still have a chance. And I believe everyone's got a chance. Like, watching everyone today, and we're going to talk about this, but I was not impressed. Like, I don't think any one team is that much better than any of the top 25 teams.
There are zero dominant teams this year.
Shout out to the Flamin' Libs for getting that dub. Texas, Arkansas, of course I covered. Let's go. Razorbacks cover, and this is exactly what I mean, buddy. Shout out to the great Noah Beanick. And Charles, I'll get you in a second, buddy. I don't think Texas was the better team today. Don't get me wrong, but not by much. Not by that much. There was a pivotal point where Arkansas fumbled the ball. Well, it was. I know we texted about this. Texas had fumbled the ball, and it had gone out of bounds. It bounced perfectly out of bounds.
The guy came up. He was running down the field. He had 2 guys on his inside. His focus was on his inside, protecting the ball in his outside hand. And a guy came up from his outside, and rather than ripping it out of his hands, maybe it's not as easy as I'm saying it is, but he did strip it. Obviously he had a great opportunity to strip it. He did strip it. It bounced on the ground, rolled out of bounds. But I thought if he had concentrated a little harder, he could have just pulled it right out of his hands. But he didn't.
But my point is, you're right. And my point though is that the ball bounces a certain way. Arkansas had the same situation the next drive, and it just didn't go out of bounds. It went perfectly to the Texas player. Now, having said all of that, I do think Texas was the better team, but Arkansas's defense is not good by any means this year. Yeah. Texas was 4 of 15 on 3rd down, right?
Yeah.
Texas only had 315 yards of offense. My point is that I just don't think they're that good of a team. I understand they only have 1 loss, but their best win is right now a 6-4 Vanderbilt team that still has LSU and Tennessee left. So there's a strong chance that they're projected to go 6-6 if you're looking at the odds.
I mean, let's be honest. There are certain teams. The SEC is talented enough that a lot of the teams toward the top of the SEC can match up well enough and create, I guess, situational happenings that allow them to stay in those games with other SEC teams. Will that be the case with non-SEC teams along the line of scrimmage? It's tough to say, but certainly there's no SEC team that is immune from losing to even another top 8 SEC team. Let's go down the list of SEC teams in terms of the rankings straight up. Let me get that pulled up here. The current SEC standings: Texas, and I'll just pull out the top half of it. Top 8: Texas, Texas A&M, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Missouri, and LSU. Yeah, I think LSU could beat Texas. I think number 8 could beat number 1 in a given day.
Certainly.
LSU is probably less likely. Vanderbilt, who's number 9, almost beat Texas. So and then the team that a lot of people are favoring to win the SEC at this point, Alabama, Vanderbilt did beat. So again, who is it?
They didn't just beat. They never trailed.
Must Vibe in the chat says Patty C. JMU would beat no one in the playoffs. Let me say this, Mike Vibe, you're probably a great human being, but I disagree completely. South Carolina is one of the better teams in the SEC. If they didn't get screwed by in the LSU game, they'd be firmly in the playoff conversation. They beat ODU by 4 at home.
Should have lost that game. Should have lost that game.
Just beat ODU by 3 on the road.
Tuck job. First tuck job of the night.
First tuck job of the night. But that's how this works, right? And that's what the committee is assigned to do, is do tuck jobs the entire time, right? Hopefully it's not guess as to what might happen. It's, look at what did happen and compare the results. And
it would not shock me one bit if JMU, to me, I think JMU on any day could beat SMU or South Carolina, or I would favor the other teams, but I'm just saying, I don't think the gap is.
If I'm being honest, let me look again at the SEC standings. Texas would be tough just because the physicality in the front. Texas A&M, JMU could beat Texas A&M. Fuck Texas A&M. They lost to App State a couple years ago. Okay, they're the type of team that can lose those games, right? Georgia would be tough. JMU could beat Tennessee, in my opinion. Alabama would be tough. Ole Miss this year looks really good, so Ole Miss probably beats them. South Carolina we could beat. Missouri we could easily beat. And then LSU I think we would beat. So, I don't know.
I don't know either. I would favor all those teams you mentioned, but I wouldn't favor them by that much. Right. If you told me JMU beat Missouri, I would not be shocked by any means. Now, if you told me they beat Georgia, I'd be pretty fucking shocked.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? I would be pretty fucking shocked. But some of those ones in there. Well, especially if you think of you only named SEC schools. If you told me JMU beat SMU, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can buy that.
Well, let me tell you this, and this one isn't this big of a stretch. If off their bye week, Indiana somehow manages to upset Ohio State, which I think would be a big upset. I think Ohio State should probably be favored by double digits in that, maybe 12, maybe 13, 12 and a half, 13. Off the top of my head, that's a guess. But should Indiana pull that upset and then lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, they'll be the 5 seed, and whoever gets that big group of 5 spot in the playoff will probably be the 12 seed. If it's JMU versus Indiana, flip a coin. Flip a fucking coin. Half those dudes were at JMU last year.
Half, 90% of their starters were at JMU last year.
Yeah.
That is kind of funny. Your argument is actually kind of valid in a way, because Indiana's whole team is James Madison.
Yeah.
I'm not being that sarcastic. Honestly, go listen to our preview.
Most of their statistical leaders are.
That's
James
what I'm saying.
Madison.
90% of their starters are JMU players.
Yeah.
That's why they've been calling them JMU West. Folks, want to tell you that the College Football Experience, is brought to you by SGPN. Yes, we are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and if you haven't downloaded the SGPN app, well, you are missing out. The SGPN app gives you access to all of the podcasts on the network and the picks page in one convenient place. Capper always doing great work there. Plus, just like all of our other content, the app is completely free to download, or it's completely free. It's not free to down, and it's free to download both. Type in SGPN in the App Store, Google Play Store to download it today. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. Shout out to Cody. I'm not shitting on Indiana. I'm just saying that's the reality. You think I'm being sarcastic? I'm not shitting with they really are starting 90.
Dude, I want Indiana to win the national championship. I want them to win it. That would be so awesome. But if I'm talking about, am I really thinking that there's a humongous talent discrepancy between Indiana and JMU? No, I do not think that. Or any group of 5 for that matter. No, I do think Cignetti's a good coach though, so that's something to factor.
Utah went to Boulder today, take on my Buffs. I actually get this, man. The line went up to 14.5. I actually placed a wager on Utah and I ate shit, but I love eating shit when it's against my favorite team. Clip that. I love eating shit. But Patty C, 49
I lost you. I don't know if you're still there.
Oh, did you hear me? Did you still
Hold
hear
on,
me?
say
through
it
all that?
again. 49 what? I said 49
24, 49-24. Your thoughts on the Buffs and how far can this Magic, like, I mean, they could still lose next week, but I'm saying, like, how far could they really go?
I don't
here?
even think it's Magic at this point. I think they're a very good football team. I think they have come quite a ways from the beginning of the year. The fact that they aren't completely inept running the ball, they have some semblance of an interior run game, is all they needed based on all the weapons they have on the perimeter and how good Shadur Sanders actually is. And like you said, the emergence of the defensive line under Warren Sapp, I think they're a really good team. Now, are they a team that is going to face challenges that they haven't seen in the Big 12 in the playoffs? Yeah, sure. But as far as Big 12 play, I think they're the cream with crop.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish that they hadn't lost that K-State game. I still think they would have beat K-State had they had Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn and everybody, but because that would pretty much, I think, solidify that they'd be in there. But Patty C, I will say that, like, they're becoming tougher. You can see the team kind of growing up in front of our eyes. Whether it's Jordan Seaton, the 5-star freshman, or whether it's Agustave, the running back, who I think is starting to emerge a little bit. How about the kid that's a freshman, Draylon Miller, that had over 100 yards today? Mixed in with some of these other skill position players that are pretty good. I mean, it's going to be exciting. Now, I still am terrified of this next game. I think
Kansas next. Yeah.
Yeah. At Kansas or at Arrowhead, whatever you want to say. Like, that's a scary, scary game, in my opinion, the way Kansas is playing. Obviously, I was on Kansas money line today against BYU.
Nice call.
But let me ask you this: if the Buffs got in the playoffs, they would get a first round bye.
Presumably the 4 seed playing in the Fiesta Bowl in the second round, like you said, after the first round bye, which I think is pretty much home field advantage for them, depending on who they play, but for the most part.
Yeah. It would be very interesting. Like, I wonder who they would draw. I mean,
let's play the odds here. Let's say Ohio State beats Indiana, and then Ohio State in Indianapolis beats Oregon, like a lot of us expect they will. And then it's Oregon, say, against Boise in the 5 versus 12 game.
Dangerous.
The winner of that, dangerous game. Certainly, that's a coin flip. It's we already saw that game happen in Eugene earlier this year. So assume Oregon wins that one again. Oregon going to the Fiesta Bowl against Colorado. I don't know. They're very similar teams. Oregon has the inflated ranking of number 1, and so I think everyone assumes that they're a better team than they probably deserve to be. But I don't think who has Oregon beaten outside of Ohio State, which was a home game that they
Boise
won
by 3 in a game they probably should have lost. Here's the thing that I have a future for Oregon to win the national championship. So I say this. I was not surprised by today. I bet Wisconsin, they covered, and I just don't know if they're just not that dominant to me. Like, you learn a lot about a team when you go on the road at a good team.
Yeah.
And win. That's why I respect Georgia still to the utmost. When they went to Texas and dominated that game by, 15, 16 points, whatever it was.
Georgia proves that they have the mettle to win in those environments, and that could ultimately, if they keep doing that, especially in the playoff environment, they can find themselves pretty deep in the playoff, maybe in the championship game. But you're right. Oregon hadn't faced much of that. Today was a little bit of that, but Wisconsin's not a great team.
No,
and
they're 5-5, and there's a decent shot they'll be 5-7 because the remaining schedule, I think they're dogs in both games. So
who do they got left?
They're at Nebraska next week, which I think they're going to be a short dog.
Yeah.
And then they get Minnesota, which they'll definitely be a dog, right?
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, 5-7 is not at all out of the question. 6-6, is probable is maybe optimistic, and 7-5 is very optimistic. So yeah, they're not a good football team, and Oregon just barely escaped them on the road, and probably like one of the few tough road tests they have all year. Not even tough. So.
Yeah. Cody says Colorado's soft up front, not on the defensive line. Their defensive line is actually good. Their offensive line, it's getting better though. That's the thing I've noticed is like, it's still like a clear weakness
at the beginning of the year. It was really, really bad.
It's still a weakness in my opinion on this team, but it is improving every week because the youngsters are growing up right in front of our eyes. Yeah. But it's still a concern. But the defensive line, I will not put up with that slander. I think the defensive line is actually really good.
Yeah, they're handling business. I mean,
they lead the Big 12 in sacks coming into today, and I think they even had a lot of sacks today too. So
yeah, I would say Colorado plays an aggressive brand of football in general. So I don't think it's necessarily like an Iowa or Utah brand of football where you're just playing base defense and clogging the holes and playing, standard run defense or whatever. And they are prone to big plays. They should utilize the athletes they've gotten through the portal. I think he's, smart in the way he's designed the defense. And so, yeah, I think they are becoming a more dangerous defense as the year goes on. But if they face a really powerful running game, might that pass rush, that upfield stuff get neutralized a little bit? Sure. Yeah. So it depends on who they play.
Who in the playoffs has a powerful run game though? Ohio State.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, maybe.
Tennessee is a powerful running team, apparently.
Yeah, but they can't throw the ball. That's why I'm out on Tennessee. Like, I just don't think their offense is any good.
I think Texas has such a diesel.
Texas does. Texas would fuck them up, I think, from on the offensive line. Yeah. But still, I still think like if Texas had a horrible secondary last year and they haven't played any quarterbacks, Michael Penix got to exploit that. Maybe Shedeur could. I don't know.
Yeah. I mentioned that gimmick teams kind of get the better of Texas, and you're probably right. It's probably less gimmick teams. It's probably just teams that are proficient passing the ball, because that has been their weak point, is their secondary.
Bottom 10 in the nation last year.
I wonder what Texas's record is like, whether straight up or against the spread against teams that are like top 20% in the nation passing the ball. I bet they have a worse record than they do against teams that are based on their run. So
Ohio State Northwestern, this game was at Wrigley. That was awesome, by the way. I don't know if you watched this. I got my eyes on this game, and
I watched enough of it. I saw the sky cam.
It's fucking great, isn't it? They should play a fucking national championship there, dude.
You have more of an affinity to the baseball stadium than I do. I think it's cool, but a national championship, no, I disagree. That's really played in a football stadium for sure.
That is a football stadium. If you the history of the sport for like fucking 80 years, they all played there.
True.
Yeah,
that's true. There's probably
there's more big games at a fucking baseball stadium than there is not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Northwestern went up 7-0, and really, honestly, I thought they were kind of the better team in the first like quarter and a half. They just kept shitting the bed.
Yeah.
Quarterback fumbles inside the 15, just turnovers left and right. They covered though for us. I mean, I didn't bet this, but I took the points.
I thought Ohio State was a shoe-in for the cover, but they called off the dogs and did not end up getting the cover. So I missed on that one.
I can't wait. Army Notre Dame, huge game next week. That's at Yankee Stadium. I love seeing this back. They should do a big look. If you're going to play at these bullshit dome locations every year for these neutral site, cockanimi games here, and you should do one. They should do one at Wrigley every year.
Well, they do at Yankee Stadium, the Pinstripe Bowl.
Wrigley's better though. Yankee Stadium's great, but at Wrigley's even better, I think.
Yeah. Chicago's more of a football town than New York.
Yeah. Should we be a little bit worried about Ohio State? Like I know they won by 24, but I don't think they looked amazing to me.
I'm not worried about Ohio State. I think Ohio State
Fucking
is just
punter dropped the ball. Like
rolling along.
I did not find them to be super impressive today.
I mean, they I can't say that they play with their food. I think, you're right. Northwestern hung around a little bit.
Dude, they got a lot of their points on like bullshit. Like the fucking punter the punter just missed the ball. You know what I mean? Like,
well, wait,
can't do that. You can't do that against them.
Yeah, you can't be giving points away to Ohio State. But again, it's tough to take that away from Ohio State and just, say that that's luck and poor play on Northwestern's side when it happens for long enough. Like, I'll say that about a game we're going to cover later, obviously, but I'll pull up right now. Cincinnati versus Iowa State. It's like Cincinnati came out looking better, but over the course of 4 quarters, the better team clearly emerged.
Sure. I'm not saying Northwestern was better. I'm just saying like a lot of times you see a dominating performance by a top 5 team.
Yeah.
Ohio State's clearly the better team today, but I just thought like Northwestern was like having more success.
Ohio State still lacks like super elite, crisp quarterback play. And so, as long as you're mildly predictable, especially against a team like Northwestern that is great at stopping the run, you might not, explode right out of the gates until you're you have leverage in the game and they're playing a little more desperate. Then you can, tee off on them a little more. But ultimately, I think I'm not worried about Ohio State. And although next week, I think they're going to have a game on their hands. But the fact that it's in Columbus, I'm going to say you have to favor Ohio State.
I'd be worried about them in the playoffs, is my point. They're going to get to the playoffs. But
let me say this. I actually think, and I thought about this before we started recording, of any team that is out there right now that I would think, and let me ask you this right in the middle of the episode, maybe. Give me your top 4 teams that are out there right now, or top 2 if you want, and then who's your favorite to win the national championship right now? I think
that's a really hard exercise.
It is a hard exercise. Yeah. I think Ohio State's my favorite to win the national championship right now.
I mean, that's not a crazy statement, but I'm saying like I question the quarterback spot. I don't know if he's good enough to win a national championship.
Fair, but I feel like everyone's got question marks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I wouldn't have him that far back. I'll tell you. Yeah. I mean, if I didn't say, I mean they spent $35 million on a roster, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, okay.
Yeah,
they should be.
Right? You're somewhere in the equation there.
Folks, want to tell you the college football experience is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes, we started out with mybookie.ag and we are back home, baby. Check out the new and improved website, great on mobile, plus props for every game, and the live dealer casino. Gotta love that. They got early cash out options, which I think you'll dig. Head over to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right. I mean, look, it wouldn't shock me if Ohio State won the national championship, but I think every team is flawed, man. When I think of Ohio State, the quarterback position is flawed to me. When I look at Georgia, their run game is flawed to me, right?
Dude, Ohio State struggle with Nebraska.
Yeah.
If they have any performance like that, like very few, I mean, I'm sure every national championship team over the past, 50 years, the vast majority of them have had a clunker game. And so maybe that was Ohio State's one. I'd have to look at the rest of their schedule to see if they've played like that in any of their other games. But gosh, if they play like that against Nebraska, no. So, there are a lot better teams out there that will catch them.
Yeah. Let's go down the list here. We had a shocker in Bowling Green, Kentucky. as Sonny Cummings probably going to get fired any day now. I think Western Kentucky was a 12-point favorite. They lose to Louisiana Tech 12-7. You only score one touchdown at home. It's a big time upset right there. I don't think it will save the coach's job, but
Is
you
he
never
4-6 right now? Cumby?
Believe they're 3-6.
4-6.
Right?
4-6.
Okay, yeah. But they're at Arkansas next week, so they'll be 4-7.
Yeah,
And then 5 wins though, they'll get Kennesaw 5-7. Maybe they keep them. Maybe they keep. I think that'd be a mistake personally, but big win there. Clemson, Pitt. We got a lot to unpack here. Yeah. I am with Clemson wins 24-20. Dabo Swinney, I'm with his statements. I thought this was the most ridiculous call. First off, it starts off with the most ridiculous non-call. Hands to the face.
Which was against Clemson. I mean, which should have been against Clemson.
Yes.
I mean, the guy threw a complete elbow.
Yeah.
I feel like what did he do? He got his forearm and then
just mushed his face. It was fucking great. And I love seeing a quarterback get hit like that. But it was against the rules. The rules are you can't do hands to the face.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. The fucking announcer was talking about targeting. I'm like, that's not targeting, dude. It's just illegal hands to the face. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
Everything's targeting, apparently.
Yes. But here's something that I have a huge problem with. Okay, missed calls happen all the time. So I don't have that big of a problem with the missed call. I have a bigger problem with them adjusting it like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
I think Dabo is 100% in the right with his post-game comment saying, what the hell was that?
Anyone who is watching it is like, A, how do you miss that?
Because you can't review that. That's not a reviewable play.
Yeah. How do you drop the flag? It was probably literally, I think, like 2 minutes later. Like for whatever reason, they stopped play, and it took them 2 minutes, and then they dropped the flag. It was like, what?
That's nonsense. Like that. I have a big problem with that. Like, because it's like that Texas shit, right? In the Texas game, what game was that again? Texas and who? Georgia, Texas and Georgia, right? Yeah. That is
start throwing shit.
You can't have that. You got to suspend that. Bad call was made, but you already did that. You already said next play.
Over. Yeah.
Yes. You can't have that. Even if the thing is right. If we're doing that, then can we do that for everything else? You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous.
Missed calls happen in every game.
This game was fucking a fun game, dude. Something about Clemson and Pitt is always fire. Is this game ever not delivered? I feel like even when they go to Clemson, they give them a game.
Yeah. This is the first time Clemson has ever won in Pitt.
Yeah, dude, if Holstein played, you got to think Pitt would have won. Because, man, they had some open guys up into the first half that you're just like, this backup sucks.
Yarnell, though, 34 of 54. So I don't even know what percentage that is off the top of my head. But 350, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Yeah.
55.5 QBR. Not amazing.
I had those Pitt Panthers. They covered for me.
Dude, I'm going to look this up real quick. I've said this before. I don't know that I've ever seen a player just become a running quarterback late in his career. God, I gotta see his entire career stats, but I feel like he's a much more prolific runner now than he ever was in previous seasons. All right, his freshman year, 139 rushing yards.
How much did he play his freshman year though?
True, 42 carries, 139, 3.3 yards per rush. Last year, 125 carries for 182 yards, so 1.5 yards per rush. Coming into this game, 68 rushes for 300 yards, so 4.4 yards per rush and 4 touchdowns. And then obviously he tacked on that 55-yarder. So
Cade Klubnik.
He all of a sudden became an elite mobile quarterback. And that really, I feel like, is the difference in a lot of Clemson's games is his wheels. And it certainly was, obviously, today.
I got to throw a little shade on Pat Narduzzi here. I thought it was awful clock management down the stretch there. Like, just
what did he do again?
Well, they were in position to potentially score. I think they had a 2nd and 1. at
Yeah,
the
I recall
Clemson, like
something about this.
Clemson, like it's like Clemson. I don't remember the yard line. I've watched 1,000 games a day, like the 10-yard line. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
And then not being weary of the clock, first off, but then they get back to back. They were a mess. How many penalties they get? I feel like they were just penalized all fucking game. 13 penalties. 13 penalties for 100 yards.
That's a lot.
That's what, but dude, and they missed one in a pivotal spot. That was a false start. Like the potential final play of the game was a false start. But I just thought they handled it really poorly there. I forget, like the fact that the runner goes down a yard. Reed, the Western Carolina transfer, goes down like a yard before, and he thought they were going to bring out the yard markers.
Yeah.
And then he just, after that, he's just, so they're not doing it. So it's almost like he's still expecting them to do that. And then you're like, dude, the clock is fucking running right now. You know what I mean? Like you're going to need this time.
Yeah. He ended up burning the timeout because he
never used the timeout. So they lost like 20 seconds.
I would have to go back and look at it, but it doesn't surprise me if Narduzzi botched some clock management.
Which they could have used at the 20-yard line and at the very end of the game there. So, Patty C, is Clemson, does Miami slip up against Wake? So Clemson's ACC season is done. One loss. If Miami slips up, Clemson's in.
Like you said, who knows whether Miami may still be in right now? I mean, Clemson may be in right now.
The records of all these teams all matter.
Depending on the tiebreakers, Clemson may have already punched their ticket to the
I've heard though that it's very unlikely for Clemson to get there without SMU losing or Miami losing.
Okay, so somehow they have established themselves, because I don't know. I mean, none of those teams have played each other, right? Clemson hasn't played SMU or Miami.
But I think
Miami
the problem is
SMU.
They did the mathematics on like Georgia plays Georgia Tech, right? So that's one, like there's not that many ACC games left. So they were just doing that. Yeah. I think they need that, like one of these teams to lose.
Well, that's tough for Clemson because that's just luck of the draw in terms of everyone coming up with one loss and being the odd man out. Them losing to Georgia in the non-conference, that's bullshit. That should be. Hopefully, that isn't a factor in their, playing in the conference championship game. But I guess with tiebreakers being what they are, if Clemson's being left out. Do I think Miami's going to cut up to your question? No, I think Miami.
They could against Syracuse. I think they'll
they could. I mean,
Syracuse,
Syracuse was putting it on Cal for a lot of the game. So you're right. And the fact they have to go up to Syracuse, that would be a very Miami type of loss right there. But I think Miami is a dynamic football team that.
What about SMU? SMU almost lost today with BC's back. You can only wonder if they had Castellanos.
Right. Kennedy almost got his revenge today.
I covered on that, by the way, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, shout out to Clemson 24-20. Let's talk about the green wave of Tulane. Good God. Yeah. Yes, I did place a wager on Navy. Horvath left early though, right?
Yeah. Although their backup was pretty mobile.
One fucking pass. Yeah. Horvath left in like the first quarter. Dude, that was impressive. I know that. Look, you go to the backup quarterback, Still 35-0 on the road is fucking dominant.
Yeah.
That downgrades Notre Dame's win against the Navy some, in my opinion.
Notre Dame is what it is. If 2 losses, they're out. With 1 loss, they're in. Their whole season comes down to Army next week.
And USC.
Yeah, I guess USC.
Yeah. Man, I can't take Tulane in South Carolina. They got a legit gripe with those calls. I locked up Auburn minus the points. That hit against ULM as they dominated them 48-14.
Dude, Auburn could beat Alabama at the end of the year. Auburn is a very, very live dog in
Dude,
that game.
I think Alabama could lose to Oklahoma next week.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me.
I think Alabama's going to find their way out of the playoffs. Between one of those two games, I think Alabama takes the loss.
I also hit on Coastal Carolina. Marshall laying. What did I lay? I think it was like 9. Was it 7?
What did Marshall do today?
I think I had the worst of the number. I think I had it at 8.5 or 9. But they won 31-19 against Coastal Carolina. Got it done.
Keeping themselves very much in the conversation for the Sun Belt East.
Yes. Like I said, I had a really good day. Dude, did you see that touchdown Kentucky threw against Murray State? We're not going to talk about this game because I hate this game even being played in November. But did you see the touchdown that I posted?
No, I did not watch it. And even a highlight of Kentucky.
No, you should watch it on my page because it's one of the more confusing things.
Okay. What happened?
Go to my page right now and find it and find that because it was ridiculous.
We're talking Kentucky.
Just go to my Twitter feed, my personal one, and scroll down. You'll see it. It's like the 3rd or 4th one. Okay. It's ridiculous in my opinion. Shout out to Keanu in the chat. Colby, your thoughts? Instead of expanding college football playoff, expand conference play. Make a small bracket for the top 4 teams in each conference to play for their title, then pick the playoff teams based on those results. I would be open to that. I would be very open to that. But the thing is I still will not be happy until you have all 10 conferences included. I think that needs to happen. Did you see that touchdown pass?
I just watched it. The pitch.
What is that? That's the defender. That's the defender.
Just pitches it to the receiver.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah. It's tough to win when your offense is giving literal assists to the opposing offense.
What do you think about Keanu's question there?
What was his question? Sorry.
Yeah, instead of expanding the college football playoff, expand conference play, make a small bracket for the top 4 teams in each conference to play, like their playoff for their conference, and then you go to the playoff.
Absolutely, I love it. Make conference play, make that.
But you got to include all 10. You got to include all 10. To me, like all 10 conference winners should be moving on. Then
the problem they have is the schedule, but you can have probably a 4-team playoff in each conference, and then dedicate. What would that be? 2 weeks. Dedicate the first. I mean,
you can always make it work. What are we talking about here? NFL
They're giving away right now the week after the conference championship games to Army Navy. That's the only game that week. So instead of that, make the first round of conference tournament play the current conference championship week, the week after Thanksgiving. Make the second week, which is the second week of December, the conference championship, and then from there you start the playoff at the same fucking time, the 3rd week of December. You don't even have to change the schedule.
Yeah. But here's the thing: when the 10 winners advance, how do you do it with 10 teams?
Make the 10 winners advance. I don't even think it has to be the top 10 winners. Make it the top 8. Leave a little subjectivity in it. I think. Do I like every automatic bids for every conference champion? Sure, I think there's something cool in it. But in a kind of playoff that is limited to 12 to 16 teams, yes, maybe some selection has to happen. If you have the top 8 conference champions in there, I don't think you're missing out on, a championship quality team.
I just think it's not fair. I just don't think it's fair. And to me, you're trying to be fair. I think the MAC plays harder road schedules than pretty much almost every conference. You know what I mean?
Look, I would love it if the MAC was in the playoff. I think it would be more fun. I agree.
Yeah.
But if the MAC got left out of the playoff this year, I wouldn't feel like a national championship contender got screwed. So.
Okay. But yeah, I just don't to me, they can never get to that next plateau until you give them fairness.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the
think
conference, if you gave the conference access, that changes the whole entire recruiting pitch for Toledo, for Northern Illinois,
Yeah,
and then
you're right.
That changes
That
everything.
levels the playoff
Yeah,
field,
yeah.
the playing field a lot. Let me ask you this though.
We have a lot of games to go, dude. But yeah,
all right, let's fucking go.
We're 50 minutes in. We've done 5 games.
All right, let's rock. Let's just roll. Let's roll.
Temple 18, Florida Atlantic 15. Stan Drayton, he might be fired soon, but he got that dub in overtime.
How the hell is Florida Atlantic as bad as they are right now? Congrats on Temple.
I cashed on this one. Florida International. Jacksonville State somehow battles back to get the dub here. 34-31. I took the points in FIU. That cashed. But Rich Rod won like 8 games in a row or something, right? Or 6 games in a row, something. I don't remember what it was.
Still alive for the conference championship, Conference USA championship. So give Rich Rod some cred here.
Yes. Alabama played Mercer, no comment. Illinois, I cashed on this. Was a lock battle. It's a lock battle. As NC Nick was in. Illinois 38, Michigan State 16. Get this smarty bullshit out of here.
I think I agreed with Nick on this one, and I'm very impressed with Illinois and the outcome of this game.
What they are now? What 7-3? There's a
38-16. What a win!
How many wins? So they have Rutgers and Northwestern left. Are they going to go 9-3 under Brett Bielema? I think they are.
Western, gosh, what do you think of what do you think of Bielema as a hire right now for Northwestern?
Fantastic,
for Illinois rather. Yeah,
fantastic.
Damn well.
A+ hire. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Sam Houston State because they moved to 8-2. It took everything. They needed overtime against Kennesaw with the coaching bump once they fired the coach.
Let me say that I believe that I said the under was the smash play here. I think it was like 54 or something. Obviously, the total here was 40. So easy play there. Neither of these teams have any offense, and they have great defenses.
But let's talk about Sam Houston, second year in the FBS, 8-2 right now. Now I know they have Jacksonville State and Liberty on deck, but I tend to think they might win both of those. That's a great second season.
Yo, they flipped the script in year 2. Pretty impressive by Sam Houston. Pretty impressive by the FCS in general. Hey, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, if you're watching,
Montana State.
Yeah. Hey, just pay attention here. You're gonna do okay.
All these teams, you realize JMU, Georgia Southern, App State, Sam Houston State, they're all having success when they jump up. Just an idea.
Big ass success.
Yeah. Just an idea. A shocker of the day to me. There's a couple. It was a hard ticket to Logan, Utah, because oh my God, where was this?
Yeah. Whoopsie.
Utah State 55, Hawaii 10. See, you get them off the island, you bring them in some cold weather, they don't want to be there. These island boys ain't gonna be able to cut it. That's the best thing. You see that shit today with Tennessee, 55 degrees, and they have heaters on the sidelines. Come on, please give them a game. Give them a game at who could they? Yeah. Penn State will be that cold then. It'll be that cold. Then. South Bend.
Didn't Ole Miss play Penn State last year in the bowl and absolutely annihilate them?
Yeah.
It's a different situation when it's actually in 25-degree weather, which is what Penn State is built for.
And college football has been ducking that for a while, these filthy bowl games, and your non-con being in the first month of the season. Yeah. Shocking, though, that Utah State did that to Hawaii. I didn't see that coming. If you listen to the morning show or the pick show, I was on the cues. They win it outright. I said sprinkle the money line. Jong, I know, was cashing off that. Syracuse 33, Cal 25. Cal, I did read this stat. They have 5 losses, all by 1 score. They got their ass kicked in this game, though.
They've been a nice comeback in the second half there, where they score 18 in the second half of their 25. Whereas Syracuse put up their first 27 in the first half. So nice comeback, but too little, too late. Congrats to Syracuse in the Granola Bowl.
Fran Brown, buddy, 7-3, huh?
Impressive, very impressive.
They have home games against UConn and Miami left. Yes, let's go.
Hold on, Syracuse, UConn. That's going to be a good game, and the fact that they have Miami at home.
Yeah.
Let me say this: black coaches maybe should get some coordinator positions. We see these guys coming from position coaches. Fran Brown defensive backs, Deshaun Foster running backs.
I mean, Deion Sanders came out of fucking nowhere. Just being an awesome player. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, forever.
Speaking of which,
the numbers were always puzzling. Yeah, Eddie George doing a great job at Tennessee State. That was the dumbest logic ever. Like we're not, it was like 140 teams in the FBS today, like 4 black coaches. And it's like, we're not racist. We're just, it's like, what?
Well, whatever.
You can call a play. You can call a play. You know what I mean?
Dudes are doing pretty well. That's all I got to say. Yeah.
Shout out to the Qs and Fran Brown. Great year 1 already. Even if he loses out, great first year. Penn State 49, Purdue 10. Purdue's fucking horrible. Purdue is a terrible, terrible team.
Yeah. That
job might be open. I think that job's going to be open at the end of the year. Dude, so I don't know what this is a funny moment here. So I'm watching the Charlotte South Florida game for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Charlotte was actually up.
Yeah, that was even at the beginning.
No, Charlotte was actually winning, I feel like, when I was watching, right? Yeah. I leave for maybe 5 minutes. 10 minutes, I felt like.
Yeah. And
South Florida scores 31 points in a row.
The third quarter.
Oh my God. It's a dominating performance. Biff Poggi, year 3. He needed this one to get to a bowl. I think he's probably going to end up being 5-7 or 4-8, but I do think they're better though. I know that's hard to say when you just gave up that many points, but
marginally. Who was it? Will Hall? Who was their coach before?
Will Healy.
Will Healy. That was it.
Yeah. How about this? We got to talk a while about this.
Yeah. What do we got?
Florida 27, LSU 16. Brian Kelly talking shit to all his players.
I saw something where his player, depending on the what would you call that? The transcription of what he said to his player. One is like a little more like, God, he's an asshole. The other one's like, hey, he's kind of right. One was like, you're not coachable. Fuck you. The other one is like, hey, you need to be coachable. Stop walking away from me.
Well, another one's like he's yelling at his coach.
One of his assistants.
Yeah. I mean, Patty C. LSU is what, 6-4?
Yeah.
They really should be 5-5 when you think about that Ole Miss game. Like they were losing that entire game. They somehow were able to get it done. But let me ask you this: 6-4, Patty C. Remaining schedule is Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. They could be 6-6 if they don't get their shit together.
He's cooked, right? He's got to be fired at 6-6.
His buyout's crazy, but yeah, I guess it's LSU, right?
Yeah, LSU.
This is year 3.
It's year 3.
Yes.
Oh, he's cooked. 6-6 in year 3 at LSU. Get the fuck out of here. He's done right now at 6-4.
It is $60 million buyout, says Damani.
That's a lot of money.
That's going to be an interesting story to follow because I think Brian Kelly still wants to coach. So if he gets fired, someone's going to hire him.
Well, let me ask you this: is it one of those situations we need like a contract expert here to answer this, where if he takes another job, the buyout goes down? Because if that's the case, then maybe LSU.
I mean, he's rich as fuck.
Rolls the dice on that.
I wonder if West Virginia fans would be happy with Brian Kelly.
No. Talk about not a cultural fit.
Do you want to win more than 6-6? I'm trying to think of what other teams would actually like. He's not going to go to a group of 5. It would have to be
Brian Kelly be a really good cultural fit.
Well, that a job would be open. I'm not just. You can't just say it.
Well,
you know?
let's just say, where would he be a good cultural fit? Where is a place that appreciates his dry, like fucking angry ass? You know, I mean, Michigan State with
UMass
D'Antonio,
is open.
UMass would be fine, but he deserves a bigger job than that. I feel like Penn State would probably be okay with him if Franklin managed. But Franklin did enough this year to keep his job. Most of the places in the north.
Brian Kelly to ECU. That's the same as West Virginia.
Yeah.
Right?
Brian Kelly at UVA, honestly, but UVA would deal with it.
That might open up too. That still might open up.
Yeah.
Folks, what to tell you, the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog pick up some of the biggest menus for all the sports. They got NFL, college football, college basketball, CFL, Grey Cup tomorrow, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and much, much more. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props. You can build your own model, or you can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or you can have Rhythm build your own model for you. Look, they just introduced college basketball. You mix that with college football, NFL, NBA. They got it all over at Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back. Gary K, I just thought of the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Brian Kelly to Purdue.
That is perfect. That is perfect.
That is. That really is.
Purdue would be so ecstatic to have a coach of his quality, and it's just stuffy enough of a university where he's a fit there. That's perfect.
I think that's perfect. If that did happen, let's go.
And if Walters is on his way out the door,
and he's already recruited that area.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
He was Grand Valley State's in Michigan, in Notre Dame and Indiana. So yeah.
That's his wheelhouse right there.
Yeah. Big win for Florida, Patty C. So Florida is sitting there. You know, I know they have a couple games left, but they're 5-5. They're home to Ole Miss and at Florida State. This team is going bowling.
Dude, it is clear that Napier is doing a pretty good job.
He is doing a good job this year, I think.
Yeah.
Once they got rid of Mertz, I'm joking, but no, nice win. I mean, this is I think they could beat Ole Miss, man. I think if I'm Ole Miss, watch out. You're going into the swamp next week. Watch out.
I think that's a different level. I think Ole Miss is at a different level, but I think
Ole Miss lost to fucking Kentucky in Oxford. What are you talking about?
Sure. It's not that Ole Miss isn't susceptible to a loss like that, and it's not that Florida isn't good enough.
They lost to LSU. Ole Miss did at LSU. Same situation.
Yeah, and Florida just beat LSU. So
and Kentucky.
Maybe you're right, but yeah, maybe I'm just full of shit. Either way, though, I mean, Florida's sitting there at 5-5, you know, and LSU. I mean, Ole Miss has some big wins so far, so I just feel like
one big win, buddy.
Yeah, but a big ass win over Georgia.
Yeah.
Stomping win over Georgia.
No, that was super impressive. But if you don't think they could lose this game, you're crazy.
You're probably right. Actually.
I mean, I would still favor Ole Miss, but if you think this is just a shoe-in,
yeah,
that's insane. I mean, Florida pushed Tennessee
Oxford?
over. No, it's in Gainesville.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Then you got to be real careful if you're Florida. I mean, if you're Ole Miss.
I mean, Florida gave Georgia they gave Georgia a game. You know, they gave Tennessee that to overtime. Had they not gotten injured,
might be a year away from serious a step up, like a 10-2 season.
I agree. How about Troy Calhoun and these Air Force Falcons? 28-0 against Oregon State. They found it, buddy. Next year, Air Force is going to be a good team again.
You just see a coach go from absolute dog shit at the beginning of the season to his team being pretty damn good at the end of the season. You have to chalk that up to the coach. You have to give the credit.
He's
to
a
the
damn
coach.
good coach. And then I covered with the Wahoos, even though the opening kickoff was a fucking joke. They're such a loser team, dude.
They are a loser.
They are a loser team by
Dude,
definition.
how many fucking turnovers?
Opening kickoff, if you didn't catch it, folks, the receiver just drops the ball. Like he's catching the ball and it just bounces off him right into Notre Dame's hands. And it was just like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that until you tagged me in it after the game. And I was like, holy shit, is that how this game started?
It's ridiculous.
Oh man, but
absolutely ridiculous.
Anthony, when I said at the beginning of this podcast, the games unfolded exactly how I thought they would. With Anthony Calandria, it's so predictable. It's like he's going to be really dynamic against a team like Pitt, right? And he's going to make enough plays where he can win that game, where there's just not quite enough of a talent advantage that Pitt has that he can get off and do what he does, which is like freestyle, you know. But when he tries to freestyle against a team that's just a little too good for him, it turns into interceptions. And what they have like 4 first half turnovers.
I couldn't watch. I was like, after the kickoff, I was like, they're just such a fucking fake team. I will never take them seriously.
Even one of their touchdowns, like,
how do you have a moment like this? You're playing a top 10 team, and to open the fucking game, you just let it bounce right off your fucking hands. That's just like, I don't know that I could. I don't know if I've ever seen that. You know what I mean? Like, just your nationally televised game.
Tony Elliott, he might not have like a fastball. You know, he might be able to coach himself into some wins here. Last week against Pitt, great win. They were 5-4, pretty good year. They can still go bowling. It's a nice step forward for Virginia as a coach. But like when you have a game like this, it makes me question whether how much better you're really going to get. You know,
this game here was absolutely ridiculous. This next one, I don't know if you saw the ending, but I have a big problem with it. Much like the Clemson Pitt, these ACC refs today. Now, I did take Stanford in the points, and that hit. Stanford won outright when they made a 53-yard field goal to win the game. They were down 35-14. Patty C. Did you see the end of this game?
I did not. I was
so
watching the scoreboard.
This is my problem with the refs. And like, I think we actually have like a fucking real problem. Louisville pushes the receiver out of bounds on a catch. They start talking shit. They throw a 15-yard penalty on Louisville and put Stanford in position to make a 53-yard field goal. Now, don't get me wrong. Louisville fucked around and let Stanford come back, but I hate the refs deciding a game on bullshit. I thought it was if I'm Louisville, I'm fucking really pissed off because I'm like, oh yeah, you yell at your player, like, what are you doing? And you tackle him out of bounds and you get in his face, talk shit. Yeah. But it's still a cheap penalty to me. Like, you should not throw that flag. Know the fucking moment. You know what I mean? Because I don't think a team should lose like that.
I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. I wish I could, but you do have to wonder if Louisville still has the reputation as, even with Cal and Stanford, I feel like they probably are less the redheaded stepchild than Louisville is in conference play in terms of a conference fit. Louisville has always been the team that's just replacing Maryland. So, you know, I know that you're a Braum lover for good reason because he's an absolute gamer.
Not today. I took Stanford.
Yeah, true. You know, not necessarily always in betting, but in terms of his mojo, and I am too. Well, I feel like for Louisville's fit in the ACC, I still feel like it's not so much of a fit, but they are a better team than Stanford. So if they're getting jobbed, it doesn't surprise me, but I do. It does make me feel bad for Louisville.
I just think, I mean, I don't think the ref had a personal grudge against, I don't know, but I just know, like, you can't throw the fucking flag right there, man. You can't throw the fucking flag right. It wasn't that over the top. It was just like, yeah, fuck you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't do that.
Right at the end of the game to put Stanford in field goal position.
Yeah, dude, the game if not was going to go to overtime, and then it was like, oh, they threw that penalty, and it's like, dude, you just ruined the fucking game. You just ruined the game. The player did, sure. Did he need to do that? sure, but he's still a little excessive. Like to throw the penalty to me, just fucking. I don't know. It's just left a bad.
I'll go
taste in my
watch
mouth.
it.
Yeah.
I'll go watch it at the end of this.
I didn't think it was that bad, and I don't think a penalty. And the refs got to know the game is at tied up with fucking 5 seconds left or whatever it was.
Yeah.
To throw that is insane.
Yeah.
I cashed on Boston College. They put a scare in SMU today. It was a 3-point game late in that game, Patty C.
Dude, weren't they leading at halftime?
Boston College was with the backup quarterback. Yeah, no, they were down 6 at halftime, but they were in this game with the backup quarterback. It makes you wonder, Patty C. Can SMU finish out the season? They're at UVA at that filthy Scott Stadium, and then they're home to Cal.
Can SMU finish out against UVA and then Cal? Well, let me tell you this. UVA is the type of team that can beat SMU. SMU's finesse is not something that's going to like put a dent in UVA's ability to execute, right? And if Anthony Calandria is allowed to run around and freestyle and do his thing, then he probably will put up offense. Do I expect Jennings for SMU to do the same thing? Yeah, I bet that game turns into a shootout, and whoever executes slightly better than the other team will probably win that game. The fact that it's in Charlottesville, UVA could very well find themselves in that game. Who's the last game that you said? Who's the other game?
Cal.
Then that's on the road, or is that at home?
It's in Ford Stadium there. Not shitty Ford Field. Gerald Ford Stadium.
Yeah, Ford Stadium.
Yeah.
Shout out, by the way, to Scott Bowser for pointing out that Gerald Ford was part of the Warren Commission, who was put in charge of investigating the JFK murder. So we do know that the Dallas versus Boston thing does.
I love how it's a conference game. They got to give it protect that game. We need the ACC to protect they played last year in a bowl game too. So it's like you got 2 years into it already. I cashed on Boston College. I pushed on this one. Didn't lose my money. I had Old Dominion +3 in the Royal rivalry. It did not come through as JMU escapes 35-32.
That was a dogfight. That was
a fun game. That was a fun game to watch. This is why college football should never separate. It's just fun. That was a fun little matchup.
Yeah. That game was not over until it was over. Credit to ODU for playing a hell of a game. Credit to Bob Chesney for being crafty enough to keep them, just ahead of one step ahead, whether it be the model huddle. I see the JMU Twitter feed criticizing him for opening the second half with a onside kick that didn't work out. Obviously, ODU recovered short field. But you know what? I think Bob Chesney gets by on being aggressive. So I say keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, considering you lost your whole team to Indiana,
right?
You're 8-2. It's a great first year already, even if you lose out. Baylor just extended Dave Aranda because guess what? They are bowling. I hit on this one. They go to Morgantown. They win by 14. Neil Brown and the Mountaineers are 5-5 with UCF and Texas Tech left. Can he get to 6-6? I don't know if he's going to make it, man.
Where are those two games?
Home versus UCF at Texas Tech.
They could go 6-6.
But I don't know if 6-6. I think they might. They just got a bunch of money donated recently. Yeah. I don't know if they're. And his comments, I think, bother the fan base. Yeah,
they should. They should.
I don't know that 6-6 will get them through this, man. Yeah. But shout out to Dave Aranda who survives it. He's got 6 wins, and then he's still got Houston and Kansas left, so probably 7-5 season. That's a good. Yeah, I didn't think Aranda was doing a bad job. I just thought they lost a lot of close games a couple years ago.
I mean, a lot of people seem to think that he was a shoo-in to get fired, but do you think at what would you say the record is now?
Right now it's 6 wins, but they have Houston and Kansas left. I think they're probably going to end up 7-5 if I had to guess.
Do you think that warrants an extension? I don't know what the details of the extension are, but generally going 7-5 doesn't get you extended for very long.
No, my point is like they didn't fire him. They said he'll be back next year. They didn't give him a new contract, but
Okay.
shout
Vote
out
of
to the
confidence.
Bears. Yes.
Yeah.
USC Nebraska game was hilarious. I watched almost every snap. USC wins 28-20. They cover for me the 7.5. Somehow I got very lucky on this one.
I enjoyed USC going back to the old 90s uniforms, old 90s jerseys with the 3 stripes on the side there. If it's not working, change it up,
Well, Nebraska fans are just going crazy because of the pass interference on that interception, which it was pass interference, but first off, they were they were letting these guys play all game. I felt like was just tugging on jerseys and letting them play. Now that last play on the interception, or one of the last plays, that was pass interference by the rule of the law, but or the law of the rule. I can't talk, but
letter of the law. I think that's what
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I've been fucking sitting here, done 10 shows a day, watching games all day. Patty C, USC is now 5-5 with UCLA and Notre Dame left. Are they going bowling?
Hold on. You said USC we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And they have Notre Dame and
UCLA.
Ooh, they're not going to beat Notre Dame. I would not think. That game's in LA though, so maybe
both games. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously UCLA is located in Los Angeles.
Where? Thank you, Deshaun Foster.
It's at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, okay. That makes it a little tougher, but not that much tougher. I bet they go bowling. I bet they get one of those two.
Now let me ask you the other side of this coin. Nebraska has lost another 1-score game. They are home to Wisconsin this week. They're 5-5, and then they're at Iowa. If they don't get it done this week, they're going 5-7. I think they're going to get
shoe in right now. Iowa hasn't been playing great.
It's just Ferentz fucks them up historically.
Yeah, I would assume if they don't beat Wisconsin, they're probably not going to beat Iowa. I think they're dogs in both games, but I almost feel like they're probably going to get one.
No, I think so too. I think they're going to go 6-6, but still, that win total was like what 8.5. Hilarious game though. Look, I lost a lot of money on this one, and I just want to talk about how ridiculous this is. Clay Helton's the worst. You are
so clutch.
You are in a position to win the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
You're playing the team in last place. At home.
This is the best.
At home.
Yeah.
You win and you're in.
Not quite. You got to win too, but you're very.
It ain't going to get much easier than this when the worst team comes in there and wins 28-20. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Now their backs are against the wall. They have to win out to make the conference championship. They have to go to Coastal, and then they host.
They're shitting the bed somewhere in there.
App State.
App's gonna fuck up their season. I guarantee you.
I hope it is App. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Deeper than hate rivalry. Hilarious. I just can't believe another one that I lost on Terrell.
Good job, Troy.
Yeah, shout out to Terrell Furman. We had a lock battle on this. I took South Carolina minus the points. He took Mizzou. So this game was awesome.
What was
this game
the
was
spread
awesome? 11. This game was awesome.
Wait, who is favored?
South Carolina by 11.
Okay, so he won.
Yes, he beat me. Did you catch this game in the final 5 minutes? Was fucking
classic. It was insane.
Yeah, it was absolutely classic.
But I'm very happy that at least counterfeit ass Missouri is out of the playoff conversation now.
They're the most counterfeit team. It's a shame though that South Carolina, like I'm with their fans. They got robbed in that LSU game. They
should have beaten Alabama. They might be one of the top 10 teams in the country.
But besides the Old Dominion game,
which they won, they found a way to win. But yeah, it was not pretty.
Was it them winning, or was that Old Dominion's quarterback dropping the ball inside his own 2-yard line? No. I mean, shout out to Beamer. He's having a great year. It's exciting to see. And I'll tell you this, man. That team is young. I'm terrified. I am terrified that all those players are going to transfer out.
Gosh, would they really?
No, just because the money. I just assume that like Lenora Sellers, who looked good today, I just assume like some school is going to come and be like, "Hey, you could play for more here."
I feel like South Carolina, any team in the SEC is
no. I'm talking about another SEC team.
Up. What I'm saying is South Carolina is able to pony up to keep those guys around. I disagree. I think
we see this all the time, dude. The smaller SEC schools can't keep their guys to the bigger ones.
I don't think the state flagship school of South Carolina is a smaller SEC school, and I think once their NIL fucking ramps up, which they will after this season, then I don't think they're behind many other teams by a significant margin, at least. Maybe the likes of like Georgia or Texas, but like maybe Alabama,
LSU.
Maybe behind LSU too, yeah. But like, is Sellers that hot of a commodity?
Well, not only him, some of the other guy, the 5-star kid out of DC, who's a fucking beast.
Nick Harbert,
yeah. Like I could just see all these guys. Like we saw this before. We've seen this before. Like we've seen players from Ole Miss or Missouri get taken by other SEC teams.
When did we see this though? I mean,
I love it. The wideout for Georgia. He was at Mizzou. He was at Mizzou balling.
Currently,
yes, they're starting wide receiver.
I just think it's less likely to happen.
London Humphreys at Vanderbilt. Georgia took him. Georgia's taking Ra Thomas from Mississippi State. You see this all through the SEC. Auburn does this too. Auburn will pay.
I just think South Carolina, you look at that, you look at their stadium environment, that strikes me as big time SEC, fully invested, money. Like when they believe, which I think they will in Beamer at this point, which I think they should, the money's going to come. I think they'll be able to come keep most of their players. Might they get like one of their big guys snagged?
Their best defensive end, Oregon, got him this past year.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, maybe the big dogs come calling and grab one of the two of their guys, but I don't think they're going to get completely fleeced.
That's what I'm saying. There's just a couple of their guys. I hope this young talent stays there. Is my point. I don't think they're going to get like their whole fucking roster gone. I just think like when I saw Lenora Sellers ball out today, I was like, wow, he could be really, really fucking good. And then I go, he's probably going to leave South Carolina. Like Texas A&M is going to come. Like the first thing I think of is A&M needs a quarterback for the future. They're going to be like, hey, here's $100 million or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It is. That's a good question. Where South Carolina stands in that, because they're kind of in that in between.
I think they're in the basement, buddy. I
don't think they're like that far down.
I think Texas A&M. Surprisingly, Florida is not. Tennessee is like number one, I think, as far as NIL collective. Yeah. Then Ole Miss is spending. Ole Miss is spending.
Yeah.
I would put right after that. Yeah.
You may be right. We'll see.
Arkansas State beats Georgia State 27-20. They are bowling. Butch Jones 6-4 right now.
He's the Scott Leffler of the Sun Belt. Let's give the man some credit.
He really is. How about Rutgers 31, Maryland 17? I am in a Maryland Facebook group, and I saw fans extremely pissed. They showed photos of the game, and there was this crowd. No one was at this game, dude.
You would be in a Maryland Facebook group.
Well, you know why I'm in a Maryland Facebook group?
Why?
Because I share, like back in the day when I first started the college experience, I was sharing our shit. I'm in like every team's Facebook group, right?
Yeah.
So like, because I would go to put like our team preview in their thing, right? And but I saw people complaining about like the turnout, the crowd turnout. No one was at this game, and it was a pivotal game for us to go bowling.
Is that a Mike Loxley problem, or is that just a?
I don't know, but it's just a problem. I don't know that they weren't necessarily saying I guess they were saying Loxley, but it's just like in a subtle way. But what's
crazy is that like the Mid-Atlantic is football. Like that is the number one sport. Yes, basketball is big in the Mid-Atlantic too, but I still think football is the dominant sport. And so for Virginia and for Maryland to have such trouble with turnout, it's really surprising, Is
there any chance Mike Loxley gets fired?
Depends on how they finish. What's their record right now?
4-6.
Yeah, if he only who do they have left?
I think it's a nice no, it's Iowa and Penn State.
4-8, yeah, he's done. He probably gets canned.
Brian Kelly to Maryland?
Could be. What does Maryland want to do? I mean, Maryland's one of the hardest programs to like figure out what their identity
They have
is.
money though. They have Under Armour.
Yes, although I don't know that they're getting funded as much by Under Armour as they used to be. But what is Maryland's identity? What does Maryland want? I mean, the fact that John Harbaugh has captured and sustained the Baltimore Ravens, but what even is John Harbaugh? He's just a dude.
What are we talking about here?
Great football coach, but like, what's gonna like make Maryland of all states click in football? It's a very, very hard.
Kurt Signetti.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
They always fumble this. They had Bear Bryant. They're like, oh yeah, we don't need him. Go to Kentucky.
Yeah.
All right. It's crazy to me. It's like this is a job you would think. Same with basketball. They make bad hires, man. Like I didn't like the Willard hire. I thought they lost the game for them the other night with his coaching.
Yeah, they need to find a guy that's like ahead of the curve. Honestly, I hate to say it, a guy like Bob Chesney, who's like a risk taker. You know, that will try his damnedest to find an edge some way or another. That's probably what Maryland needs for a while.
Like, I'm trying to think, like, who could they get that would be a pick Dundee for Maryland coach? Yes. Who could they get that would be like a home run? Obviously, Brian Kelly would be a home run, I guess, because you probably win like 8 games every year. But
realistically, I mean, we always suggest Chadwell in any like East Coast.
Does he fit? I mean, he kind of fits in Maryland.
Close enough. He's a little southern, although Maryland is a surprisingly southern state. Outside of like the city, there's a bunch of fucking rednecks in Maryland. So
might
go over.
Chadwell might work. Yeah. Jim Mora. No, they already hired a UConn coach. That didn't work out with Randy Edsall. I would be shocked if they did the UConn thing again. But I mean, do we think for sure he's fired?
I don't think for sure he's fired, but if he's 4-8, they should fire him.
Yeah. Moving along. Southern Miss lost 58-3 to Texas State. Texas State's bowling, and Texas State was jumping in a goddamn lake right outside their stadium. Their fans just because they're bowling. Bravo. Southern Miss. This was once such a proud program. It's crazy how far that they've fallen.
Yeah.
I remember them being like the original Boise State.
Yeah.
Tough. But on the other side of it, Texas State, back-to-back years bowling.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's kind of disappointing in a way, though. I thought you were going to be better this year, but still, you're still building it. Patty C, I want to talk about the next game here, but before, let's just do it. Let's just bang out all this before. Arizona State, Kansas State, my lock. Boom. Sun Devils. Plus the points. Sprinkle the money line.
Very nice.
I told you this Kansas State team, they should have lost to Tulane. If Travis Hunter plays or Jimmy Horn plays for Colorado, Colorado would have beat them. And they weren't as good this year, man. I think they fucked up by letting Will Howard go. I think they should have kept Will Howard and Avery Johnson studying him for one more year. And I think if they had Will Howard, I think this team would be playing much better.
Avery Johnson, 24 of 40, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
That's what I'm saying. He's not there. They put all their faith in the young kid, and he's not ready. Like, he's solid, but he's just not. Like, Will Howard is perfect for Kansas State's offense.
Yeah.
And Kenny Dillingham setting himself up now, Patty C. If they beat BYU next week, they might be in the Big 12 championship.
I would think they would certainly be in the Big 12 championship. They'd be one of two. Who else has 2 losses? Let me pull up the standings, but we're talking about the Big 12 here. BYU has 0. No, BYU now has 1 loss. Colorado has 1 loss, and Arizona State has 2 losses. And
Iowa State's alive too. Iowa State's still alive.
Did Iowa State play Arizona State?
No.
Okay, so that is a question mark. But Arizona would certainly have the tiebreaker over BYU with the head-to-head win. So it would come down to whatever the tiebreaker is between Arizona State and Iowa State. But I would think Arizona State very much puts themselves in the conference championship conversation with a win next week. Where's that game being played?
Tempe.
They're
winning that game, dude.
They're going to win that game.
I agree.
Go ahead, Kenny Dillingham.
Let me ask you something, though. Does Arizona State play in Tucson to end the season? They do. The old Dust Bowl, the old Territorial Cup could be a little.
Tell you what, that was the biggest pile of shit that we ate this week.
Yeah,
Didn't
Houston.
Houston. Yeah.
Friday night. I cashed on this miraculously at 2. Boise State minus, what was it, 13, 14, something like that. 42-21. I don't even know how the hell I hit this. It was a pick 6 late. San Jose State was up a lot of this game. Ashton Jeanty, 3 touchdowns.
Dude, huge. What happened there? I looked over for 1 second. I think it was
pick
4th
six,
and 1
pick six,
inside the 5. It wasn't a pick 6.
No, they had a pick 6 in the 4th quarter.
Okay, but I think they were up 14-0, San Jose State in the first quarter, and we're about to make it 21-0.
And they fumbled. They fumbled.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
They fumbled.
Yeah.
I mean, brutal.
Let me tell you something. I want to mention this team and another team. I think Niumatalolo is going to have San Jose State. Think about this, Patty C. Boise, San Diego State, Colorado State, Fresno State are leaving the Mountain West.
Boise, San Diego State, Colorado State, and who?
Fresno State
are leaving the Mountain West for the Pac-12.
Well, my point is that yes, UNLV should be the front runner to win the new Mountain West.
Sure.
But I think Niumatalolo at San Jose State is going to have them in the mix. And there's another one. This is year 1. I think year 2 is going to be way better. I think he's a really good football coach.
We're talking about Niumatalolo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, they're solid.
For year 1, they lost a bunch of their players too. So,
yeah.
But anyway, Boise gets the cover. Patty C, is Boise going to be? Are they going to be able to get through the final 2 games? It looks pretty easy with Wyoming and Oregon State the way both those teams are playing right now.
Yeah, that's not the concern. The concern is the conference championship game, whether that be Colorado State or UNLV. Either way, that game's going to be in Las Vegas, right? That's where the Mountain West Conference Championship is played. Or is it at the home? It's at the home site?
Yeah.
Okay, so on the Smurf turf, maybe they're better prepped. So yeah, I mean, yeah, at this point you'd have to favor Boise, assuming Notre Dame loses. I mean, Army loses to Notre Dame. I mean, does 11-1 Boise or 12-1 Boise, I should say, get in over a 12-1 Army? Probably yes.
Yeah, because the Oregon game, the number 1 team they had on the ropes, dude.
Yeah. I mean, they deserve it. They played a better schedule. Yeah.
Another shocker in the Sun Belt, Louisiana. Just when we praised Michael Desimorel, Fluff Bothwell comes into town and fucks them up. 24-22.
Let me tell you what, that fucks up JMU's playoff chances a little bit. I was watching that. I was like, hell yeah, there's another big time loss in the Sun Belt. And then I was like, oh wait, that's on the other side of the division, and we need as many style points as we can get. But man, USA put it on them.
Then you had Georgia cover for me, who adds a late score. Them dogs covered for me 31-17. Kirby Smart. I don't even know what the hell. Like, can we talk about this?
He's such a douchebag in the post game.
Did you see that statement? What does it even mean? Like, like this is just the most ridiculous.
I called it out on Twitter. I said, "Oh yeah. If you're in the committee, you need to come play in the SEC."
Yeah. What? What does that mean?
Yeah. Unless you play in the SEC, Colby, you can't. You don't understand it. So you deserve to be ranked. Or you have to consider the SEC the best.
Yeah. First off, you play 8 conference games. You fucking cowards. All right.
Yeah.
You play 8 conference games. Play 9 like every other goddamn conference. Same to you, ACC. Right. But what I don't even understand the comment. Like they're already pro SEC. Maybe not this past week, but overall they're super pro SEC.
Dude, I hate it because it's like it so relies on the SEC being given preferential opinion or status, whatever it would be considered compared to the other teams. Like Josh Pate coming out and saying last week that the ACC and the Big 12 conference championship runners-up should be punished for their loss in the conference championship game, but the SEC, whoever the runner-up, shouldn't be punished. It's like, yeah, if you hold the SEC's teams to a different standard to where they get, preferential treatment at every turn, yes, they're gonna look better. If you don't punish them, it's just so stupid.
Yeah. I thought Pate's comments were ridiculous about that. I also thought, who was it? Someone else for SEC Network was trying to say, I forget, like South Carolina deserves in, which I'm like, okay.
Don't necessarily disagree that they're not good enough, but they did lose 3 games.
Well, my point was like, if they lost 3 games, if we're just saying they lost 3 games, then they don't deserve to be in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if the losses have to fucking mean something. All right. Cause I think that's what it was. So he said that South Carolina would beat SMU, BYU, and Indiana today. And I'm like, how the fuck do we know that? B, I think Kansas could beat fucking South Carolina. They have 6 losses. Does that mean we should put Kansas in?
Yeah.
Like Kansas is a team that I think could really beat a lot of teams. I think they could probably beat those same teams, but do we put Kansas in?
Right.
Like if Kansas played SMU tomorrow, I feel pretty decent that Kansas would win.
Yeah.
But Kansas has 6 fucking losses. So you can't put them in. The losses must mean something.
I saw that, and I saw a lot of dumbass people on Twitter being like, what does that mean? Do you really have to fucking have this explained to you? Like South Carolina lost 3 games. The results on the field show that they, based on those results, should not be in the fucking playoff. It's that simple.
Yeah, and look, we know they got robbed in 1, but there's a bunch of teams that got robbed. Tulane got robbed.
Yeah,
like are we gonna go back through every fucking call?
Yeah,
there's more. There's more than that. Oregon 16, Wisconsin 13. Patty C. I have my concerns about the Ducks, but they got the dub. They got the dub.
They made the plays when they needed to. I give them credit for that. By the way, Dylan Gabriel is such a little bitch.
I can't stand him. He's my most hated player.
10-second stand in the backfield before you kneel down and really test the other team to come and if Shiano caught shit for bull rushing the quarterback kneel down at the end of the game while he was in the NFL. There's some unspoken rules supposedly in the NFL that you don't do that, right? But here we have Oregon completely abusing that and taking 10 seconds to kneel down. Eventually, Wisconsin comes and tries to hit Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
He doesn't even they don't even do it. But they're jawing at each other. Dylan Gabriel has the nerve to stand behind offensive linemen that are foot taller than him.
He does the abrupt slide every fucking time.
He's such a bitch.
Yeah,
I want to see him slammed on top of his head. I want to see him.
Remember when he got injured
destroyed.
against TCU? TCU's dude came and hit him, and they kicked him out. And the when he was at Oklahoma, And the announcers made it out like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. And I was like, no, he did that abrupt slide. I'm glad he's fucking. This is what happens. This is what happens when you keep fucking around. All right.
His head knocked off at some point this season.
I agree. Texas A&M in an SEC battle against New Mexico State, 38-3. Stupid game. Next, Trent Dilfer. The modern game does not impress me. Well, it did for Memphis as they put 53 on UAB, 53-18.
No, and Memphis has a bye before going into New Orleans for the
it's the Thursday game. Yeah. No, but it's already Tulane's already clinched, right? I thought Tulane's clinched.
But still, that has massive implications on the college football playoff potentially.
I cash and I win a lock battle, I believe, against your stupid face. Iowa State 34, Cincinnati 17. How are you, buddy?
I don't know, man. Cincinnati was looking pretty good at the beginning. Gosh, it's like a fucking weekly routine. And
are they going to go bowling, buddy?
Humility.
Kansas State and TCU left at K-State, home to TCU.
What are we, 5-5 right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go bowling. I hope they don't, but they probably will.
Could Brian Kelly go back to Cincinnati?
Oh God, just 9-3 seasons every year.
I also cashed late touchdown by Taylor Morin, the receiver out of Chantilly, Virginia, for Wake Forest. As Wake Forest covers the 11, they lose 31-24. They actually had an amazing onside kick, one of the best onside kicks I've ever seen. Only problem is they didn't recover it, but it was set up perfectly for them to recover it. They did the onside kick where you drill the player. You drill like the kicker just like and dude, it bounced back perfectly to all of them, and they still didn't get the ball. Mac Brown, Nanner pudding there. They are he's bowling. He's bowling. That's what Carolina does.
Mac. There you go, Mac Attack.
Yeah. Shocked by this one. This is what I was talking about. Niumatalolo. See, I think people are going to think UNLV is just going to run away with the Mountain West. Mountain West, I think, is going to be adding North Dakota State. If I had to predict,
please God,
watch out for that. But then also, Niumatalolo in year 2 and in the coming years at San Jose State, I think will do really well. I also think Bronco Mendenhall at New Mexico is going to make them really good.
What a performance.
What an upset here. It ruins Washington State's whole fucking season. New Mexico 38, Washington State 35.
Not that Wazoo actually had a chance, but at least they'd have an argument.
Yeah.
Complain about. Yeah.
Dude, but it makes the future. Think about the future Mountain West picture then, Petty C. You know, Utah State keeps a good program. They'll figure their way out of this mess right now. But you think of Utah. Oh, no, Utah State left. So wait, it's Air Force, Calhoun, right? Yeah. You'll have Air Force, you'll have UNLV, Niumatalolo at San Jose State, Mendenhall at New Mexico, and then North Dakota State coming in. That would be fucking pretty fun.
Oh, it's a well-coached division. There's no doubt about it. Let me say this: if Primetime does find himself in the Dallas Cowboys, like Michael Irvin is pushing for.
I don't think it's going to happen.
It very well unlikely will happen. But if it does,
I think Florida State's more likely than the Cowboys.
Could be.
Did you hear his comments like a year ago, saying like the last thing he'd want to coach is pro football?
Well, he would be at a massive disadvantage from what he's currently at, I think, in pro football, because I think his ability to recruit talent is one of his major strong suits. But that said, maybe he gets the opportunity to coach his son at the NFL level and coach for his former team. If he would, all that to say, if Deion Sanders, for some reason in the upcoming years, isn't at Colorado, Bronco Mendenhall looking like a damn good replacement.
That's the opposite culture.
Opposite culture, but who cares?
Like image. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the image.
Where do you think Colorado's going to replicate Deion Sanders' like image?
Well, I think they'd want to stay like they might go with one
true to that culture.
I think they might go to one of his guys.
Maybe you're right, but I think you're just asking to regress if you try and.
Mendenhall has been at BYU and fucking Virginia, dude. You have he
it's
seeks
very,
out
very
those
different.
cultures. Yeah.
And I don't think Colorado is necessary. Although I think you're right that Colorado is probably a little more closer to prime times culture based on what they were in the 90s and what they are now.
They're seeing the economic boom. I think I think they want a that whole area. I read an article how much money, even last season when they're terrible.
I don't know why though, that Colorado in particular, of all the mountain teams, like Whittingham's is like grizzled, like fucking disciplinarian. BYU is like that. Why Colorado is like a prime time team that had like a bunch of all-star defensive backs back in the 90s. Deion Figures. Who was
Chris Hudson? Chris Hudson was a beast. Yeah. They had a bunch. Yeah, I don't know, but huge win for Mendenhall, and I think he's going to make that. I think he's really. I don't think talking to him at Mountain West Media Day, that's the coach that I truly don't believe will take a job for more money. Like I don't think just talking to him, I was like, why did you take the New Mexico job? And then I found out because I did New Mexico radio while I was there.
Yeah,
that he took it at he was making like $3 million a season. I think at $3.5 million a season at Virginia.
Yeah,
I want to say his New Mexico contract's like $700,000.
He just called it at Virginia, right? He didn't get fired.
He just called it. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think he's driven by money.
Yeah.
That's true. So I don't know, but Kansas 17, BYU 13. I nailed this. Told you, and I watch out. Buffs better watch out. The Buffs better watch out because Kansas is good. Kansas is good, man.
Yep. They finally found their stride. They were the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season.
Dude, they had fourth quarter leads in all those games at the beginning of the season. It's not like they got blown out in any of them. They had leads in the second half of every single loss.
But they looked like shit in some in the second half.
I think a lot of that was Daniel's back injury. Takes a while to get comfortable, They're a wild card. I know Yormark's got to be sitting there saying, "Oh God, don't do that. You did this to BYU. Now you're going to do it to Dion potentially."
The good thing is they're going to get one team in no matter what. So
yeah. And the final game on the slate, UNLV covers the 20.5 and wins by 21. That's our show. I don't know what else to say besides this was fun. Next week's amazing, by the way. Have you looked at the schedule for next week?
Let me take a peek real quick.
You got Army Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium. You got
who do you got in that off the cuff? You got to
favor Notre Dame, but I'm just excited that they've done some of these games at Yankee Stadium, but they've never had stakes like this. This is such a flashback to the heartbeat of college football.
Oh yeah. This is like early. Both of these teams have offenses that can generate big time points, but for whatever reason, I think this is going to be a defensive struggle.
I think Notre Dame actually matches up well with these triple option teams, but I'm still intrigued because you're getting Ole Miss, Florida next week. You get all these kind of playoff games in a way of these teams can't afford a loss. Now this is why the SEC with having UMass and UTEP on the schedule and stuff is every team should do this because the committee basically has a recency bias. Every team should be scheduling an FCS this week. I'm serious. I mean, I'm not for it as a fan, but I just think it's okay to lose in week 1. But if you lose now, they really penalize you for it.
Yeah. Indiana, Ohio State, obviously
huge. Penn State at Minnesota is one to watch. Minnesota's played good this year. I think they're capable of pulling that upset off. BYU, Arizona State, obviously gigantic game. Colorado, Kansas, gigantic game. Kentucky, Texas, who knows? Kentucky went to Ole Miss and won.
BYU, Arizona State. Did you say that one?
Yeah, both those Big 12 matchups are absolute fire. Texas A&M at Auburn, dangerous game there for Mike Elko. Iowa State's at Utah. Iowa State's got to win that game. There's just a ton of fun matchups. That's just me, Cliff Notes version. Colorado State at Fresno State. I know Fresno's having a horrible year, but if Colorado State wants to make that Mountain West championship, you got to go into Fresno and get the dub. There's just a ton of fun games. Obviously, Stanford Cal, the greatest play in the history of college football, with the band member just getting fucking destroyed. You got the other side, Wisconsin, Nebraska. One of these teams probably not going to make a bowl game. Whoever loses that game. You got JMU going to App. That's been a fun rivalry.
Big one.
Who's
the other group
SMU
of
at Virginia is a dangerous game. Yeah. UNLV at San Jose State Friday night is fun. Just some good matchups, some fun matchups.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at TheColBD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are back. We are rolling. Shout out to Colt giving us $5. Always appreciate the work. Army plus 16 versus Notre Dame. 16 points, Patty C. You're taking it?
Army giving 16 points to Notre Dame. I'm taking the points.
Yeah,
I think Army keeps it close. Yeah.
Can't wait for all these games. Can't wait. Check out the College Basketball Experience as well. Picks every night. We talk every single fucking game in the whole season. So get on over there and check that out. Also, the College Baseball Experience. Also, the Sports Gambling Podcast. Don't forget, right now, if you're listening live, Grey Cup tomorrow night. So 111th Grey Cup CFL Gambling Podcast. Check that out. I like, just check it out. I'll give my pick on, let's just say the dogs are barking. Let's go. Till next time, folks. This is the College Football Experience Week 12 reaction show. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the cameras. Run.